Will you pray with me? Lord, uphold me, that I may uplift thee. Amen. Behind every great celebration is a woman. Think birthday parties, Christmas, Easter, weddings, anniversaries. When people come together to celebrate, you can almost guarantee that there is a woman or a whole bunch of women responsible for the festivities. It's true in my family, and I know that it's true in this church as well. Consider our church's 30th anniversary celebration coming up at the end of October. Behind this celebration is a woman named Jewel Fontaine King Kincaid. It's a mouthful. Jewel was the catalyst behind the founding of this church 30 years ago. And from what I can gather, she was a courageous woman with many gifts and talents for ministry. She was a woman with a bold dream. A dream to start this church, a dream to organize this people. Jewel heard the Lord's call and she stepped out in faith. She was a woman who had a clear sense of her call. Listen to what she says about her call. Jewel says, long ago when I was young, the idea entered my mind to start a church. Surely my life's work must be that of a missionary. However, the Lord directed me in another way. One night while I was with a church group tour in Dublin, Ireland, I was awakened. Hearing my name called, I asked my cousin, Jewel Barber, did you call my name? He said, I did not. So she went back to sleep. And a second time, she was awakened by an inner voice saying, Jewel, Jewel, reminding me of the boy Samuel in the temple with the priest Eli. Jewel heard the Lord's voice. Jewel kept the faith all those years. She prayed, she discerned for God's will for this church. And at some point, she must have thought those words of Esther, perhaps I was created for such a time as this. Jewel knew in her heart that she was set aside for a special purpose. She stepped out in faith, she used her voice, and she changed history. I want to pause this morning and give thanks for the life of Jewel Kincaid. And I want to lift up all of the brave women out there who have altered history in their own unique ways. Our 30th anniversary celebration coming up next month is a wonderful opportunity for us to celebrate Jewel's vision, which has now become our reality. We can learn to lean heavily upon her example as we look for encouragement to keep the faith during this time of struggle in the church. No church exists without struggle. And this is one of the reasons that anniversaries are such a big deal. Whether it's a marriage anniversary or a church anniversary, we can look back to remember all the struggles that Jewel and all those other faithful members, some of them here today, faced and overcame. How they bound themselves in prayer, how they trusted in the Lord, and how they ultimately changed history. As a people of faith, we are hardwired for remembrance and celebration. And behind every celebration is a woman. In her book, Who Cooked the Last Supper, author Rosalind Niles says, there may have been only men sitting at the table, but who cooked the Last Supper? The title of this book seized me when I walked past it at the library because it is a question that I had never considered before. Who cooked the Last Supper? And the dedication on Niles' first page gripped me. She says, this book was written for all the women in the world who have had no history. In her book, she attempts to recover for readers the reality that women, for the most part, have not been given a proper place or proper credit for their amazing contributions to world history. she hopes to set the record straight. She writes about ancient civilizations where women were central to the preservation and survival of hunter-gatherer societies. She points to countless women who ventured into dangerous situations and changed history. When I think of such women, I think of Mary. I think of Hannah. I think of Sarah and Ruth and Esther. I think of Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. Think of Katherine Johnson and Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, Mother Teresa, Rachel Carson, Daisy Bates, Abigail Adams, Eleanor Roosevelt, Marian Anderson, Dorothy Day, my mother, my grandmother, my aunt, and each and every one of you. While Niles's claim in her book that the majority of women have had no history is certainly true, it's not true for the biblical character of Queen Esther. Not only does she have a history, but her history was absolutely vital to the survival and preservation of the Jewish people. As the story unfolds, we learn that her actions provide the reason for one of the major Jewish celebrations, Purim. Purim. Behind every celebration is a courageous woman. Purim is an annual celebration that takes place every March. And during this festival, the Jewish community looks back to the story of Esther with joy and with feasting and with almsgiving and with dramatic plays meant to retell this amazing story of deliverance. I want you to come closer today because the details of this story are shockingly relevant. The presenting story for Purim is about an incompetent king who has his rear end handed to him by the ethnic minorities that he oppresses and the woman who he harasses. And in this story, Esther, she acts as a subversive, strong woman hero. She undermines oppression and she is a model for courage. But let's back up just a bit and reorient ourselves with the details of this story. It's a fascinating story, and it's not one that I remember hearing about in Sunday school. God's people are exiled. They're living among foreigners. They're devoid of their places of worship and their familiar rhythms of life. They're living in a perpetual state of trauma. A time of great struggle under the oppressive rule of the Persian king Xerxes. Now, Xerxes, he was a violent anti-Semite, and he did much to oppress the Jewish people. And his oppression did not stop with the Jews alone. It extended into his own household. Apparently, his own wife, Vashti, was a subject of his oppressive reign. So one night, after what appears to be a 6-month-long drunken feast, Xerxes orders Vashti to come before the court and to dance and display her beauty for everyone there. Vashti defies the king and refuses to be used in this way. As you can imagine, King Xerxes was not used to this sort of backlash of his court, and so he became enraged. And he unseats his wife as queen, and then after a while, he becomes lonely. So men, his inner court, sensing his loneliness, decides to help the king out, and they call women from 127 different provinces to come so that the king can make his selection for a wife. Now, among the Persian pageant contestants is Esther, who happens to be a Jew. So Esther is selected, and later she becomes queen. But the family drama, it quickly ensues. One of the king's officials, a man by the name of Haman, he demands that everyone bow in allegiance not to the king, but to him. And like his 3 distant Hebrew cousins, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Esther's uncle Mordecai refuses to bow down. And the plot develops to kill not only Mordecai, but the entire Jewish people. We're talking mass genocide here. And while this attempted genocidal act is playing out in the king's court, Esther becomes queen, and she gains a tremendous amount of power. She gains a tremendous amount of privilege to change history. So her uncle Mordecai, he encourages her to step up, to speak out in defense of her Jewish siblings. She's encouraged to use her voice. She's encouraged to use her gifts. She's encouraged to take a risk that may cost her her life. Like so many in similar situations throughout history, Esther becomes afraid. She begins to weigh out the risks involved. After all, how could she, a woman, change the mind of her unpredictable husband? What if he were to explode and depose her too? Sensing her fears, her uncle Mordecai comes alongside Esther and whispers words that have offered hope to the Jewish community for over 1,000 years. He says, if you keep silent at such a time as this, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place. Who knows? Perhaps you have come to royal dignity for such a time as this. Equipped with these words, equipped with this charge, Esther moves to stop this plot against her people. And lucky for her, the king woke up that day on the right side of bed, because he hears her request. And in a major twist in the plot, he decides not to kill Esther's uncle Mordecai, but instead to kill his right-hand man, Haman. From its earliest beginnings, you can see why this is such an important story for the Jewish people. How many times in history has there been a conspiracy to kill the Jews? This story, it serves as a reminder to all oppressed people that the humble will be lifted up and the arrogant will be brought down. Through Esther's courage, the Jewish community was given a new song of hope. Generations of Jewish people facing religious oppression would look back on this event, find hope to make it through another day, through another week, through another month, through another year. Purim, this celebration that has been set up, is there so that they can look back and remember and celebrate God's deliverance. It reminds all of us in here today the awesome responsibility we are given to use our gifts and our places of privilege to speak out and to ensure that all people are given an opportunity to flourish in life. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we too are called at this time, in this place, to be agents of change, to be ambassadors of hope. Who knows? Maybe Uncle Mordecai's words ring true for us today as well. Perhaps you have come to this place, to this moment, to these people, to this opportunity for such a time as this. 30 years ago, some people in Camden Lake heard these words or similar words. At the time, it was only a dream. At the time, only Jewel knew she had been placed on earth for such a purpose. She had a vision from a very early age what this church could be. She had a vision and a prayer to see this church built so that the people of Camden Lake could have a place to come and worship and serve God together. Jewel did not have to say yes to the Lord. She could have written that inner voice off. But as she says, the legacy of her grandfather, the Reverend Jesse King, called out from the grave, like the voice of Uncle Mordecai, saying, maybe you have been given this dream, this call, this vision, these gifts for such a time as this. Well, let's try to put ourselves in Esther's shoes this morning. Let's put ourselves in Esther's shoes and ask, what What are we called to do in this moment, this time, in this place? What opportunities lay before us to speak out against oppression? What obstacles lay before our siblings? More importantly, what gifts has God given us that will enable us to bring about more hope, more healing, more peace, more comfort, more joy, more imagination to our community? What gifts has God given us that will enable us to turn somebody's sorrow into joy? What gifts has God given us that will enable us to turn someone's mourning into celebration? As one commentator has pointed out, Esther has only a few words at her disposal, words that must be very well chosen. She speaks. History is changed. Esther gives us all an opportunity to nurture the embers of hope. What would it look like for us in here today to nurture the embers of hope? Which is to say, what gifts do we have at our disposal? Maybe you have the gift of encouragement. Maybe through your words and your presence in the lives of those who are hopeless. Maybe you can offer them a glimmer of hope. Maybe you have the gift of prayer. And through your thanksgivings and your petitions to God, you can offer a glimmer of hope to your neighbors and your friends. Maybe you have the gift of imagination. And through your ideas and willingness to take risks, you can be a catalyst for change in the lives of people who seem to be stuck. Maybe you have the gift of boldness. And through your capacity to take risks and speak truth to power, you can speak out against racism, women's oppression, corruption, and the lies that consume our society. Maybe you have the gift of empathy. And through accessing your own pain, you can reach deep down into your own life and then extend that same love you give yourself to your neighbor. Maybe you have the gift of mentorship or friendship. And through your presence in someone else's life, you can bring about a brighter future. I want us all to think this morning about our gifts. Think about your gifts. And now think about the world's needs. Think about all the violence and injustice that we see. Think about the prejudice and greed. Think of the loneliness and isolation. Think of the awesome responsibility that we have as ambassadors of hope to fan the flame for those whose wicks are being snuffed out. And now think about the possibility that perhaps you are called for such a time as this to use your gifts to change the world. Esther used her gifts and changed history. Rosa Parks used her gifts and changed history. All the women standing up right now saying, "Me too," they used their gifts and they are changing history. Jewel Kincaid used her gifts and she changed history. Will you? Let's pray. God of hope, who created us in your image, grant us grace fearlessly to contend against evil and to make no peace with oppression, and that we may imaginatively use our gifts in the maintenance of justice and hope in our communities and among the nations, to the glory of your holy name.